Hello everyone, Derived Energy. This video will be about myth 6, moral progress, a belief in moral progress. And again I'll be reading from John Gray's Straw Dogs. Okay. It seems feasible that over the coming century human nature will be scientifically remodelled. If so, it will be done haphazardly as an upshot of struggles in the murky realm where big business, organised crime and the hidden parts of government vie for control. If the human species is re-engineered, it will not be the result of humanity assuming a godlike control of its destiny. It will be another twist in man's fate. Yeah, it will be another twist in man's fate. It will be another major chapter in the history of the life of the human animal, and just the ever-recurring theme of pain, suffering and death in a meaningless and pointless and immoral universe. 157. Just going to read a few bits from different parts of the book. Okay. This is talking about hunting, gathering and farming. Okay. The move from hunter-gathering to farming harmed health and life expectancy. Even today, the hunter-gatherers of the Arctic and the Kalahari have better diets than poor people in rich countries, and much better than those of many people in so-called developing countries. More of the world's population is chronically undernourished today than in the old Stone Age. So, where is this moral progress of what Paul John Prine talks about? More of the world's population is chronically undernourished today than in the old Stone Age, and you call this moral progress? Right, I'll look up the next bit. If you want to understand 21st century wars, forget the ideological conflicts of the 20th century. Read Malthus instead. Future wars will be fought over dwindling natural resources. Yeah, resource wars are on the cards. The genocidal war between Hutus and Tutsis in Rwanda had several causes, not least the deformation of the country's tribal cultures by its Belgian colonial rulers, but it was partly a struggle for water. E.R. Wilson writes, on the surface it would seem, and was so reported by the media, that the Rwandan catastrophe was ethnic rivalry run amok. But that is true only in part. There was a deeper cause rooted in environment and demography. Between 1950 and 1994, the population of Rwanda, favoured by better healthcare and temporarily improved food supply, more than tripled from 2.5 million to 8.5 million. In 1992, the country had the highest growth rate in the world, an average of 8 children for every woman. Though total food production improved dramatically during this period, it was soon overbalanced by population growth. Per capita grain production fell by half from 1960 to the early 90s. Water was so overdrawn that hydrologists declared Rwanda one of the world's 27 water-stressed countries. The teenage soldiers of the Hutu and the Tutsi set out to solve the population problem in the most direct way. Yeah, war. Do not make the mistake of thinking that wars of scarcity are fought only among the poor. The wealth of the richest countries depends on retaining their grip on natural resources. In Central Asia, the great game has been resumed, for the great powers vying for control of oil, as they did in the 19th century. In the Persian Gulf, poor and rapidly growing populations need high and rising oil prices to survive. At the same time, rich countries need stable or falling oil prices if they are to continue to prosper. The result is a classical Malthusian conflict. The Cold War was a family quarrel among Western ideologies. Whatever else they may be, future wars will be wars of scarcity, waged against the world's modern states by the stateless armies of the militant poor. They are certain to be hugely destructive. We may well look back on the 20th century as a time of peace. So even with the First and Second World War and all the wars and battles and skirmishes that have gone on this century, there is a chance that we could still look back on that century, the last century, as a time of peace, because the resources are waning and conflict is inevitable. An incredible amount of conflict is incredible. Right. We can dream of a world in which a greatly reduced human population lives in a partially restored paradise, in which farming has been abandoned and green deserts given back to the earth, where the remaining humans are settled in cities, emulating the noble idleness of hunter-gatherers, their needs met by new technologies that leave little mark on the earth, where life is given over to curiosity, pleasure and play. There is nothing technically impossible about such a world. New technologies cannot undo the laws of thermodynamics, but they can be friendlier to the earth than the old technologies. Microchips allow technology to be partially dematerialized, making it less energy intensive. Solar power allows energy consumption to be partly decarbonized, reducing its environmental impact. James Lovelock has suggested using nuclear power to counter global warming. E.O. Wilson has proposed that genetically modified foods have a role in a far-reaching program of conservation and population control. A high-tech green utopia in which a few humans live happily in balance with the rest of life is scientifically feasible, but it is humanly unimaginable. If anything like it ever comes about, it will not be through the will of Homo sapiens. So long as population grows, progress will consist in labouring to keep up with it. See, that's what I mean. Like when you reproduce and you procreate and you create more children, then all the extra work is just keeping up with the population control. So it's just a ridiculous, pointless cycle of procreation and labour and pain and suffering and pointless death in a meaningless and immoral universe. There is only one way that humanity can limit its numbers, and that is by limiting its numbers. There is only one way that humanity can limit its labours, and that is by limiting its numbers. But limiting human numbers clashes with powerful human needs. Yes, powerful human needs held by irrational and insane animals. The Kurds and the Palestinians see large numbers of children as a survival strategy, where communities are locked in intractable conflict. A high birth rate is a weapon. Yeah, it's a weapon onto your child, on your and your children. In any future we can realistically foresee there will be many such conflicts. Zero population growth could be enforced only by a global authority with draconian powers and unwavering determination. There never has been such a power, and there never will be. Well, I'm inclined to agree with John Gray here. You know, the human race isn't voluntarily going to discontinue, but what antinatalists can do is promote the idea of thinking carefully about the ethical ramifications of creating new life. And if you're being intellectually honest and are capable of applying inductive logical reasoning to the human condition, then the only conclusion is that we are all harmed by being brought into existence. And using this myth about moral progress and continuing moral advancement and decreasing suffering and pain, it's just it's another delusion that the human animal is cowering behind.